If we're looking at women working with women, women managing women, that brings us up to the ideas or the beliefs of the way that we have worked with ourselves. Let's just have some fun here for just a second. Let's just imagine that everyone on this side of the room, you all are women. And you all are men on this side of the room. And I am a facilitator of a very technical test. And I come to the men and I say, men, this was a very difficult test. And I don't understand it. Typically, everyone succeeds and passes this test very well. Unfortunately, all of you men have failed miserably. Why do you believe that you all have failed so miserably? Men, the test was written by a woman. The test was rigged. Who could ever do it in that small amount of time? I mean, you set up an impossible task for us, and there is no way that anyone could have been able to fulfill your expectation. And in fact, where do men typically put failure? Outside of themselves. Ladies, same test. Women, very difficult test, a technical test here. I have to tell you that there was not a single one of you that have succeeded. Every single one of you have failed. Why do you believe that you women have all failed?
I didn't study.
I didn't study.
Not technical minded.
I'm not technical minded. PMS. So where do we attribute failure? We attribute failure inside of our hearts, next to our ego. We attach it to our leg like a couch, and we drag that nasty little belief into the next opportunity, and we let that one hold us back, and we have this dragging feeling of a lot of excess baggage into the next test. And the next test will be back with the men. And with the men, I say, men, very technical test. Most of the time, people fail this test, but not you. Every single one of you, you all have passed this test with flying colors. I can't believe it. You've all succeeded. Why have you all succeeded so fabulously, men? Because I'm great. Of course I'm great. You know I'm great. I've been able to do this activity since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. My daddy showed me. I've had plenty of mentors. Of course men know how to do this. What kind of fool are you? Right? Women? Same technical test. Ladies, very difficult test. I typically have very few people succeeding at this test. Could you tell me why is it that you have all succeeded so fabulously? Every single person has gotten 100% on this test. Why have you all done so very, very well? The test was easy. I got lucky. You explained the directions so very well that I was able to get every single point done perfectly. I could have never done it without you. And where do we attribute success? Outside of ourselves, typically. Now, why is that? The reason that we do have that, and I want you to imagine with me, let's play with this just for a moment. Why is it that men put failure outside of themselves and success on the inside, and yet we've never learned that? The basic premise, I want you to all just sit up nice and flat, square in your chair. Put your feet flat on the floor. We're going to do just a slight little visualization. What I want you to do is to inhale through your nose, fill up your entire chest cavity, and relax and blow it out. And you can just close your eyes for a second. Inhale, and exhale out through your mouth. Now you are a Little League mother. You are a Little League mother, and your little boy Johnny, he's going to do his first softball game tonight. Now Grandma and Grandpa have driven 50 miles for your little boy's softball game. Now that little boy is in the outfield because he's only 6 years old, and every time the ball has come to him, he's dropped the ball. When he got into the batter's box, he struck out 3 times. And little Johnny's team lost the entire game by 10 runs. Now, you can open your eyes, and as a good Little League mother, what did we say to little Johnny?
You'll win next time.
Johnny, losing a game just means you need to practice more. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get Daddy to come and coach you on the weekend. As a matter of fact, we think you deserve to have a professional coach, and we're going to go out and hire someone that will train you professionally. We feel so good about that. We're going to make sure that you succeed, and we're going to spend the money to make sure that you get the right things. As a matter of fact, we're going to make sure that you have the baseball cards and you have a male image so that you know who you should grow up to be. We're going to take you to the library so that you can see all of the books on the rules and regulations, and we're going to take you to every movie and every TV show so that you can see other people that would be just like you in the future, so you know what to be when you grow up. And we'll make sure that we've socialized you for that success. So men have always had the approval outside of themselves. They have had, we women, mothers, putting them on the pedestal. They've never had to search for that source of approval. They have been conditioned that it would always be there, and it always has been there. Now, we little girls, Mommy would say, why don't you go to Daddy and see if he likes your new Sunday dress and your new patent leather shoes? Daddy, do you like my new outfit? And we learn to have our source of approval outside of ourselves. Well, you better learn how to cook, because the only way you're going to get him to marry you is if you're a good cook. And he'll value you on being a good cook outside of yourself. So we have learned, and our conditioning has been to look outside of ourselves. How many of you can remember your mother or father ever coming to a jacks tournament? Didn't we play jacks? How many of them came to a jump rope tournament? And did you ever have to compete to get on that jump rope team? Did you ever have to, or did we make up the rules as we went because we were relationship oriented? We wanted to make sure that everyone felt good. Did we ever have to show off our skills to be on that first base? And once we are on first base, let's say that we have competed to get into that position to be on first base. How many of us are still covering all the bases rather than our own base? See, little boys learn to cover only their own base and maybe go halfway to second and halfway back to home. But how many of us are exhausting ourselves because we're covering all the bases? What are we doing? So we're looking at self-esteem. Self-esteem is the way you feel about yourself, but it usually comes from the approval of other people. When I am managing a woman, I want to make sure that I have given her that approval. I want to make sure that I've gone out of my way because she is seeking approval outside of herself. Now I want to tell you the story about the two little boys that are walking down the path. And these two little boys are walking down the path. They're going to a crawdaddy race. Now they're going to this crawdaddy race because it is the big race of the year. The first little boy's got these real outstanding crawdaddies. They're just crawling out of the bucket, crawling out of the bucket. They're really ready to go. They're ready to go. Now he gets to the race. There's only 2 or 3 crawdaddies left in the bottom of the bucket. And he gets them up to the crawdaddy line getting ready to go. And they don't wait for him to say go. They start going right away. He has to keep holding them back. Well, the other little boy, he's got a whole bucket full of crawdaddies, and they stay right there at the bottom of the bucket. They're perfectly right there at the bottom of the bucket. He gets up to the crawdaddy line. They stay nice. Their toes are right there to the line. They never cross that line, not one little bit. They're just right there, and they wait for him to say go. Now, the first little boy said, gee, you've got all your crawdaddies left. How did you keep all those crawdaddies in that bucket? The second little boy said, the way I keep all those crawdaddies in the bucket is I get the right crawdaddies. I got female crawdaddies, because when one of them tried to crawl out to the top to get ahead of everyone else, the rest of them pulled her right back down. What are you doing with the women around you? Are we empowering women, or are we pulling them right back down?